Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Go Tribe, your William & Mary Next Step. I'm Lauren Garrett, Director of Student Transition Engagement Programs, and with me are three tremendous student leaders who are here this evening to talk you through one of these first Digital Day for Admitted Student presentations offered by William & Mary's Office of Undergraduate Admission. So, without further ado, I'm going to turn the program over to our students to introduce themselves. Cassie, would you like to start?
Hi, I'm Cassie. I apologize you can't see my lovely smile as I'm currently broadcasting to you from the common area. But my name's Cassie. I'm class of 2022. I work as a community advocate for the William & Mary Office of Student Transition Engagement Programs. So I'm a psychology major with a public health minor. And one of my things that I'm really passionate about is singing and musical theater. And so the way that I engage with those things on campus is through doing different shows with the theater department and also being a member of the Botetourt Chamber Singers, which is a wonderful experience.
Hello, everybody. My name is Paul Harden. I'm also a member of the class of 2022 and an orientation area director here on campus. I am a French and music double major. And like Cassie, I'm also passionate about singing and music. And so I also sing in the Botetourt Chamber Singers and do a cappella as well on campus. And I'll pass it off to Madeline next.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm Madeline. I'm a junior studying international relations and Middle Eastern studies with the St. Andrews Joint Degree Program. So I split my time between here and St. Andrews University in Scotland, which has given me the opportunity to pursue a variety of different things on two very different campuses. And as you can see from the slide, I'm also an orientation area director.
Awesome, thanks for being with us. I would be remiss in saying that this is actually our second time running through this presentation. If you joined us live last week, because we're now a week later, but if you joined us live when we did this from Washington Hall 201, some of this content is going to be, well, all of this content will be exactly the same, but the presentation style actually looks a little bit different because we want to make sure that our information is accessible to all families, and we were all together in a common space, all wearing masks, and we found that the communication was a little bit difficult to comprehend between masks and microphone issues. So take two, even better than the first time. If you, at any point in time, if you have questions from this presentation or would like more information, feel free to reach out to our office, the Student Transition Engagement Programs Office, at step@wm.edu, and our contact information will be on that last slide. We're going to jump into some content now, but before we do that, here's the lay of the land as to our presentation. The Office of Student Transition Engagement Programs focuses on 5 key initiatives or phases. Everything for our office starts with the Tribe Guide, moves into orientation, and then to a series of programs that are about your experience here at William & Mary. First, we help you find your experience and then help you form and focus it. Today, we're going to focus on Tribe Guide, orientation, and find your experience within the William & Mary community. And to kick us off is going to be Cassie with the Tribe Guide.
Hello, everyone. So the Tribe Guide is basically your go-to checklist for anything and all things that you could be doing before you get to William & Mary. And so it's like it's not necessarily all encompassing, but this will generally show you the flow of everything. So our Tribe Guide checklist goes live Saturday, May 1st at 12 o'clock noon Eastern time. So if you click on that link anytime before then, there will be nothing there. So you don't necessarily need to be checking anytime sooner than that. Also, don't worry, nothing is immediately due. You still have plenty of time. So what we personally, as our office reminds you, is we recommend that you should review the entirety of the checklist first and go ahead and make notes of the individual dates and deadlines for things that are important to you, and then go back and start working on actionable items once you've already kind of looked over it, because you don't want to necessarily get surprised by, waiting right until something's due. A reminder also that this could be subject to some changes, as our COVID response team and our public health advisory team will be setting forth some guidelines for our fall semester. So we have a little time until then, but obviously students and families will be notified accordingly, so you have nothing to be concerned about. And our hot topic emails will be sent out, and those will be really key in communicating these updates and any necessarily deadline timeline changes in regards to Triad Guide. So please check your William & Mary student email. It's super useful. You get so many important emails through there. So highly recommend that you do that. And so now we can start getting into the actual meat of it, looking at May and June. So the deadline hotspots are in July and August, because we don't necessarily want to barrage you with a bunch of stuff right when you're getting out of your senior year of high school, potentially, if you're not a transfer student. So we try and keep the majority of deadlines later on so that you can, start enjoying the little first bits of summer. If there's any deadlines that align with anything that's going on, like a family vacation or something, email the office associated with that deadline, and you can always kind of talk to them about what you could do if you're like not going to have internet connection or something, or you can always turn things in early, etc. So for pre-orientation, as we know more information, we will provide that to you as soon as we can. But basically the events that we usually see are outdoor adventure, community service, and university transitions. So these are all done in conjunction with other offices on campus. And then we can go on to the housing application. And all freshmen and sophomores are required to live on campus. You can get a commuter exemption if you live within 30 miles, but that's just something to keep in mind, that you're going to be on campus for those first 2 years. And each person has to fill out a freshman lifestyle questionnaire, which basically, that sounds intimidating. It's not that intimidating. It just asks you questions about your habits, basically, like your sleep schedule, your cleanliness, how much socialization you're comfortable with, how you study, that sort of thing. And then there's a new student inventory, and that's basically how we ask you to tell us about you, basically. It's kept private, but it helps us create fun initiatives here at the STEP office. It helps with our planning. And it's also used to, more importantly, in some ways, connect you with your pre-major advisor. So your pre-major advisor is basically the person who will be assisting you through your college process and your courses before you declare a major. So they're very helpful. And now we are to June. So June is welcome events. So you can attend those virtually. We want to say hello to you. And then we'll also have the health history and immunizations forms will be due. So your immunization health history forms are already available on the website. And before you ask, the COVID vaccination is not required as of the current date, because we don't necessarily know how that rollout is going to occur. And you should probably start looking at a meal plan and make a selection. It's required for all students living on campus, but you can change your meal plan choice up until the last day of ad drop. So if you turns out that you choose one, you get through a week of school and you go, this isn't really the right fit for me, you have plenty of time to change it during that first week. So don't worry about it too much. And then there's also the hall packing list available. So it can help guide you on what sort of things are useful to have going to William & Mary. Next, we have July. So in July, you're on the e-services website. your tuitions and fees statement will become available for you to look at, and you can see kind of what you're expecting. And your housing and roommate assignments will get distributed. And if both of you put in your information, you should be able to contact your roommate, talk to them, that sort of thing. And you need to complete your college studies academic Blackboard course. So the college studies course is required for you to participate in course registration round 1, which is you signing up for your first, 3 courses or something. So you're going to want to really do that. It helps you get ready, and you have a peer advisor that's another student, and that'll kind of help you guide you along, get you prepared for college. And then there's student meetups that'll be occurring online, so to meet other students. And you can build club and organization profiles and career profiles respectively on TribeLink and on Tribe Career. And that can help you think about where you want to spend your time and what you want to spend your time on. So I think those are really useful. And we have a lot of wonderful organizations on campus, like so many of them. So there's definitely a lot to see. And then there's health insurance documentation that is required to be turned in. You can either enroll in the student plan that W&M Mary offers, or you can waive the health insurance and remain on your family's plan or whoever's plan you're currently on. And then we have August, the last month of things. So your tuitions and fees will be due, and those will be on the eServices website again. If there's any issues, you should definitely contact financial aid if you have any concerns, or you're looking at packaging your payment plans and you need some help. Definitely contact financial aid. The online educational courses will also become available. Those typically have to do with decision making and choices, and they're really useful, and you'll learn a lot of cool things from them. There's some virtual community meetups as well. Some of the orientation aides could meet up with their halls, talk to them, kind of prepare them for going into actual orientation, which is so exciting. And there will be a residence hall move-in and orientations. We're not 100% sure on dates, but the orientation is tentatively supposed to be August 23rd through 31st, which is very exciting. Currently, our parameters related to COVID, health, and safety will kind of dictate what happens. Last fall, we did a 4-day staggered move-in for new students, and we could maybe anticipate a similar thing. Not exactly sure how staggered it will be, but parents should expect family orientation information to come more at the end of May. And now I can pass on the mic, the hypothetical mic, to Paul to talk more in detail about orientation with you all.
Hello, everybody. It's super exciting to be talking to you all tonight, and congratulations on your acceptance to W&M Mary. That's super exciting news. If you choose to come to W&M Mary, as Cassie has kind of been laying out, there's some steps to take over the summer. And then once you finally arrive on campus in Williamsburg, we have something called orientation. And W&M Mary's orientation is a super unique process because it occurs all together the 4 days before the first day of classes. And so it's a shared experience that all W&M Mary students before you have participated in, and all W&M Mary students after you will also participate in. So first, I'm going to share with you a resource that can help you to get a little bit more information about orientation and what that looks like. The W&M Mary mobile app is something that you all can download to see the schedule and other resources associated with orientation. And that's going to be loaded into the app at the end of July. So if you're interested in seeing what a typical day during orientation might look like, that's something that you can check out at the end of July as you start to prepare to come to Williamsburg. As Cassie mentioned, residence hall move-in is going to be tentatively the week of August 23rd. And as she also mentioned that during COVID last fall, we had a staggered move-in on multiple days, and that's probably what it will look like again this year. So just know that that week of August 23rd, you will probably be moving into your residence hall. We try to make it as fun and easy as possible for students and families to move into dorms, and try to make it as fun and an experience as possible as well. And you can see here from some of these pictures, the orientation aides who help with move-in and try to make it as fun an experience as possible. Also, because of COVID, we have made it a contactless move-in. So it is a safe and an easy way to get everything that you need. And as you can see also throughout the pictures, orientation aides have directional signs and things like that. So that's something that you can expect on move-in. And I'll talk a little bit more about orientation aides and who they are a little bit later in my presentation. So if we go to the next slide, orientation dates, as Cassie said, are also August 27th through 31st. So it's the end of that week, starting on Friday of move-ins throughout the weekend, and then leading up to the first day of classes, which falls on a Wednesday. And I'll talk a little bit about orientation aides, as you see pictured here. Orientation aides are student leaders, upperclassmen who have applied and been accepted to the position, not only to train, they are trained to orient students around campus, and also to provide resources. And so we really want orientation aides to be a tool for student success at William & Mary, and also as a friendly face and as a peer. I really enjoyed my freshman year getting to know my OAs and see them around campus, because as a freshman, I didn't really know any upperclassmen coming in. And so to have that familiar face going to my second day of class and seeing someone that I knew was a really nice experience. And so that's kind of the role of the OAs who wear neon shirts. They're very noticeable. So if you have any questions here in August, they are more than happy to answer them for you. And next, I just want to talk a little bit about the structure of orientation. Orientation at William & Mary is really community centered. And so we really strive to create as many bonds as possible during that 4 to 5 day period, not only with your residence hall, or if you're a commuter, your orientation group, or transfer, your orientation group, but also with the general campus community. And so we really try to do not only small group dialogues, but also larger gatherings. And I just want to mention that a lot of these pictures are from pre-COVID, but we also did orientation this past fall with mass and social distancing and a lot of smaller groups and a lot of virtual things. And we're very happy to say that orientation was available to everyone who was a new student this past fall, and that we still covered all the same materials and did all the same bonding things, just virtually. So some of the topics that are covered in these dialogues or presentations are sessions on academic advising, registering for classes, university life, and a whole bunch of other super relevant presentations as you come in to your first year at college. And I will end by saying that orientation is just a super fun an informative session. And just if you choose to come to William & Mary, try your best to be open and just ready to meet the kind of things that we have planned for you. We're super excited. We are planning currently what orientation is going to look like in August, and we are super excited to see all of you in Williamsburg. So next, we're going to play a video of convocation, which is the final part of orientation as you begin your journey at William & Mary, and where the whole student body meets all of the new students coming in. And so I believe we have a video for you now.
I really hope one of your motives in being here is to discover. To me, discovery is about infusing yourself with this spirit of inquiry and curiosity. Discovery takes you places and helps you see things. It can even help change the world. With enough discovery, experimentation, and time, the future comes out of your imagination. It's very powerful, and I say, why not start now?
Hello, everybody. I am back. So Cassie's kind of taken you through the first couple of months of the summer. Paul's talked about the first 4 days you'll be on campus. And now it's my role to talk you through your first year and then your subsequent William & Mary career. So we recognize that building a community and orienting yourself with William & Mary isn't just the first 4 days you're here. So we have a variety of initiatives and continued conversations that we will walk you through with your hall or with your orientation groups throughout your first year to help you figure out who you want to become as a person. College is about personal growth, and we will help you along that process. So these continued conversations that we'll be having with you reflect and kind of expand upon some of the different programming you'll go through during orientation. In orientation, it'll be both fun and informative, and some of our more intense, very important conversations we want to reflect throughout your first and second semesters. And so we will turn back to those conversations and broaden upon them and make sure that you have all the questions you need answered and whatnot throughout your first and second semester. So you'll have 5 continued conversations in your fall and spring that will expand upon orientation just to make sure you have all the information you need. And so then beyond that, we have a variety of initiatives that will not be mandatory, but we would love for you to be a part of. These focus on academics and career, health and wellness on campus, and involvement and engagement. We have over 400 clubs that you can get involved with, which seems kind of daunting, but we will help you walk through it. And these are just to cement that community and make sure you have the tools and things at your disposal for you to grow as a person. I mean, you change so much in college, at least I have, and William & Mary has really helped me with that. And so in addition to the connection initiatives, we also have distinctive initiatives, which focus on different populations on campus. And this is where I'm going to plug in Cassie and just renew the new student inventory that she mentioned. This is in your tribe guide. We recognize that you can't narrow down your identity to a check, like marking a box, but we still are going to ask you to do it anyway. Getting this information and collecting these different traits help us to form these initiatives throughout your entire William & Mary career. And while we are asking you to narrow yourself down just a little bit, we will then take that information and expand upon it. So we'll have different initiatives for transfer students, for gap year students, for first generation college students, all these different groups of people that we want to help create community and kind of bring people together. So I'm just going to plug one more time the new student inventory. Just please fill that out. And so in addition to all these social components that we'll kind of be throwing at you your first year, we also recognize that William & Mary has a steep tradition in academics. And so we are very proud that we have 2 first year honor societies on campus, just Alpha Lambda Delta, and then Phi Eta Sigma. Well, these are 2 very historical honor societies with 2 different institutions, they have different perks, kind of different vibes with each one. They do have joint ceremonies, and they're here to honor you guys, to honor your academics, to honor your growth as a college student. You will be, if you receive a GPA of 3.5 or above, either your first semester or your second semester, so it's not cumulative, which is so good, at least it was for me, you will be invited to join one of these honor societies, which is just such a unique experience. There is a $48 initiation fee, but with our large network of alumni, we have a great support system to mitigate any financial barriers you may have. So we recognize that William & Mary and your transition to college in general is a huge transition, both on the social and on the academic side. And STEP is here throughout the summer, throughout orientation, throughout all 4 years, or as many years you choose to stay with us. We are here to help you with that transition, to help you become the person you want to become. So that's just a little bit about after orientation and your first couple of years on campus.
That's great, Madeline. Well, I think Cassie, Paul, and Madeline, you did an awesome job sort of laying out the plan for the first few months that you will be a member of our William & Mary community in terms of tasks, deadlines, as well as opportunities. and now want to turn it over to some of the questions that we received both in our Q&A last week, as well as some questions that have been posed since, or sort of are part of our more frequently asked questions series. So I'm putting up our office information here so that if folks have questions or would like to ask for additional information following the conclusion of our presentation this evening, that you know how to get in touch with us. So again, Student Transition Engagement Programs, that's who we are. So I'm going to ask our student leaders to first share with us, how did you prepare for joining William & Mary as a new student yourself?
I can start. I'm notoriously bad at technology. So I got every single date that William & Mary would give me at the point when I deposited my check, and I wrote it just down in my diary so that I could constantly turn back to it, remember everything, and kind of plan my summer around those dates. So that was the first step I did. And then so I'm from Boise, Idaho, which is very dry. We get like 12 inches of rain a year. So I went out and bought a pair of rain boots, which is kind of, for some reason, that's what stuck with me. And that's what made me realize that I was moving to Virginia and going to William & Mary. So that's how I prepped.
I can go next. I think that something for me, or something that applies to everyone, but also for me, is check your William & Mary email. I know that a lot of times people forget or don't really think about that since it's new and you haven't really used it before, but there's a lot of really important information that gets sent out through your William & Mary email. So just checking that periodically is a really good thing to do. And then I would also just say, it's good to find balance between trying to sit down and do all of these exciting new William & Mary things and also just enjoying your summer after senior year, finishing up your senior year of high school, and not spending all of your time filling out form after form for William & Mary in one sitting. So kind of spreading that out, and then also finding time to just kind of enjoy your summer after senior year is important as well.
Well, I guess I'm the last person to speak on this then. I would say for me, one of the more important things is I think that taking in all the information and completing the information is great, but also, I guess, kind of, I'm suddenly at a loss for words, but basically just take in the experiences that you're getting, even the ones that you're doing through Tribe Guide and stuff. I think that there's so much you can learn from what you have and so much to reflect on. And I think that I think another thing is also it's just important not to box yourself in one direction right when you're coming into college. There's so many wonderful, diverse experiences that you can have coming in. So just keep your mind open and your eyes open so that you can kind of enjoy everything that is coming at you.
That's really great information. I really, it resonates for me. We get a lot of, and I'm going to stop sharing now so you can see our students' faces. What really resonates for me is this idea of staying in the moment and not getting overwhelmed. Cassie made mention early on about communicating if there was an issue with the deadline or if there's an issue with technology, making sure that you reach out and you're proactive in that reach out will always serve you well. But then to also be practical and remind yourself of sort of the core things that you need to get done so that you're not always sort of stuck on the big picture items. So as you're thinking about packing, it's really easy for us to get wrapped up in the in some of the smaller pieces like, oh, comforters, bedspreads, colors, details. And then when you get into the practicality of it, you're moving to Virginia in August and it's hot and it's humid and it rains. And so as you're packing, what do you need first and foremost is probably not what you're going to need in October, November. And so making sure as you're packing that you sort of prioritize what gets put into your tub, like your Rubbermaid tub first, versus, that winter coat that's filled with down is probably not going to be necessary right off the bat. But those shorts and t-shirts and fans and flip-flops and even, yes, galoshes for wellies will be needed probably sooner rather than later. So there's a fine line, there's a balance to be struck in this whole process. So appreciate the insights. Want to move us a little bit into, keep us in the practicality, but talk a little bit about living on campus, both in terms of housing and meal plans. So talk to us a little bit about housing and roommates and how you all found your roommates first year. I'm prefacing this question also with the fact that there are housing and residence life sessions being held during digital days for admitted students that will have lots and lots of details to provide. So would definitely encourage parents and students and families to look at those sessions. But at least from your experiences, did you all go random or did you do a reciprocal request through your housing application?
I went random, and I absolutely loved it. I loved to get to know Hannah. She was my roommate. I didn't know her. I hadn't had a chance to meet her until we moved in together. So it was very, very like stop and go all of a sudden. But I loved the experience. I was kind of apprehensive about reaching out to somebody and then limiting myself in that way. And I had a lot of faith in Mary to pair me with someone who I was compatible with. So I had a great experience going random.
I guess I can speak next on that as well. I did not go random. I was on the class of 2022 Facebook page, and I made a little post about myself, and I was like, "Hi, my name's Cassie. I like music, etc." And I kind of waited to see what happened, and I found a roommate. And one of the things I wanted was maybe not to room with someone from Virginia, so I would have a different experience than them. And so my roommate was actually an international student from China, and we both really wanted to do music. So we went and auditioned for choir together. And the first time, we like Zoomed once before. Well, not Zoom. I don't think Zoom really existed before the pandemic, but we like Zoomed, FaceTimed, whatever, once before we met. But then we just, met at orientation, and we really clicked, and it was really great. And even like my current roommate is actually one of my freshman hallmates. So just like thinking slightly further ahead of that, like if you can make really good connections with your freshman hall, which I think is easy to do with the kinds of initiatives that our office and stuff has set aside for first year students, you will make a really close-knit group of friends, and sometimes you'll move on, and sometimes you find your group of people in your freshman hall, and it's really wonderful to have those connections.
I went random as well, similar to Mads. I met my freshman roommate when I showed up at orientation, and he was out of state, so that was interesting because I am from Virginia, and so having that different perspective, as Cassie talked about as well, was really interesting. I would just say that your roommate doesn't necessarily have to be your best friend. And I think that's something that I also wasn't really thinking about when I started my freshman year, is that I was looking for people who were like compatible with my interests and like, oh, do they like music? Do they like, whatever, as opposed to when do they go to bed? Are they clean? Like, things like that. And so I think when you're looking for a roommate, making sure that you're asking those questions as well is really important, because you can find like most of my best friends I would not live well with, just because we have very different schedules, or, we wouldn't get along in terms of like living in the same space, but we're great friends. And similarly, the people that you might get along with really, really well in terms of living together might not be your best friend. So I think keeping that in the back of your mind too is helpful going into freshman year.
It's true. Very, very nicely put, Paul. If there is someone that you do think that you might want to live with, who's also been accepted and decides to come to W&M Mary, the way you'd let Residence Life know that is through the housing application. They only match reciprocated requests. So if Madeline and I said that we wanted to live together, and Madeline put down my name, and then I didn't put down Madeline's name on my housing application, we're not going to get paired. But if I did put down Madeline's name on my application, then we would, Residence Life would make sure that we would get placed in the same housing assignment together. So just make sure that you're keeping those lines of communication open if you do find somebody that you want to live with, to make sure that you are filling out forms completely and correctly as possible moving forward. So now talk to me a little bit about food. Very important, right? Like food is important. When you're living on campus, you are required to have a meal plan unless you reside in certain upper class spaces. But food, plentiful meal plans, how do they work? What are the types? What do you think is important for new students and families to know as they enter sort of that decision-making process?
If y'all don't mind me hopping in immediately, I mentioned this during the tribe guide when we were talking about choosing out your meal plan, but like just off the bat, you don't have to, you can choose something and you can change it. That's like something that I think is really important. Like you have that week of ad drop to figure out, oh, does this work for me? Does this not? And you can change it once. And so you have time. And I guess to go with like my personal, what I've experienced. So I'm still on a campus meal plan. And as I've moved on, I've kind of downed the meal swipes and kind of upped the dining dollars. Those are the two different currencies we have. The meal swipes are for the dining halls, and the dining dollars are usable in like more outside chains or in our like convenience store type things that we have on campus. And so I think that it's all a matter of like who are you eating meals with? Like if you're meeting with friends in the dining halls, you're going to want more meal swipes potentially. And that sort of thing. And I think that it really depends on your personal habits as well. Like if you wake up late and you don't necessarily eat more than a granola bar for breakfast or something, you may want to like pick up granola bars from the student exchange. So you may want to have more dining dollars instead, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I would just say, in addition to that dining dollars are really kind of a cool option, because there's like some of the options are Chick-fil-A, Domino's Pizza. That sold me on my tour to William & Mary. I was like, yes, I will go to this school. They have Domino's on the meal plan. Cozy, which is like a sandwich place. And so anyway, there's a lot of different options. And so that's good because you have variety. So if you get tired of eating in the dining hall, then you can go out to your friends with your friends and go to one of those and then go back to the dining hall. And so that's kind of the cool option, is that you have those both.
I'll be honest, I haven't been on a meal plan in 2 years, so my memory is lacking. But I remember really liking the food. I would sometimes, because we have 2 all-you-can-eat buffet style dining halls, and so sometimes I'd swipe in and then I'd study there, and I just like constantly eat all day, which was a great little trick if you're, if like me, you like to eat 24/7. But I like the food. I thought it was great. I never had any glaring issues that I remember 2 years later.
That's a good sign. That's a good sign, right, Madeline? Oh, no. I think the other piece to point out is a lot of folks, as they're coming in, talk about food sensitivities or allergies or intolerances. And we do have a registered dietitian on staff with our dining services folks. And so as you're picking a meal plan, or as you're concerned about food plans and different restrictions that you might have for nutritional or cultural reasons, then definitely make sure that you're reaching out to her, and she will help you figure out, really help you navigate our different dining halls and the retail options that are available to you. So very accommodating and supportive in that process. So we've covered food and housing, sort of your basic necessities. while you're here, right? So now let's talk a little bit about academics, the reason you're here, and tell us a little bit about how does course registration work? How does scheduling work during the course of your first year? And I can start us off if that's easier.
I can, if you want me to talk first, I can, or you can do it.
Go for it.
Okay, sure. So I guess one of the main things in regards to course registration, once again, it's on your tribe guide. Make sure you finish your college studies, academics, so that you can actually do course registration round 1, because that's very useful. There's some classes there you might want to like slide into before someone else. But the main thing that I think is really important about looking at first year academics is we have call requirements, which are like the college requirements, and they kind of hit different topics. And so in your first year, there is a call 100 and a call 150. Your call 100 is more focused on like visual and presentation related things, and your call 150 is more related to essay writing and that sort of like your writing skills. So they're both really useful. I know I was really terrified of writing huge essays when I first came into college. So the call 150 was a really good thing to have. And I remember I prioritized doing it first because I knew I'm going to be terrified of doing it. I want to get it done as soon as possible so I have those skills soon. So like, if you're also afraid of that, like me, then maybe that's a good option for you. And or like if you're afraid of presentations, maybe it's a good idea for you to get that one done earlier. So it's all personal preference. Oh, also one last thing on the call curriculum stuff. Your call curriculum is your place to like play around, have fun with the academics you take, because they're the least pertinent to like what major or whatever you want to do in the future. And you may not even know yet, which is totally fine. I came into college undecided. I didn't declare until sophomore year. But I would say like take things that you're interested in and passionate about, or that you want to learn more about, not necessarily like whatever your like end goal is.
So my experience about registration is a little bit different because, as I mentioned before, I'm in the St. Andrews Joint Degree Program. So when I came in, I was, I'd already declared my major. I had a major advisor, which is something most freshman students won't have right off the bat. And so with my major advisor, we planned my schedule and then they signed me up individually for regular students, just because I only have 2 years on campus. So I really have to get into every single class at the specific time that I need it. And so while it's a little bit different, I'm still looking through open course lists. I still had to like pick which classes I wanted to take. I wasn't necessarily waking up at early morning as stressed as some people tend to get during course registration.
Yeah, I would just say try not to stress. I know it can be very stressful. I was very stressed my freshman fall trying to come in. And I know I was talking with a friend earlier today because I was trying to plan out my classes for senior year. And we were talking about how, I know it's crazy. And we were talking about how over the summer, over our summer before freshman year, how we'd gone through the college studies program and picked out all of these classes that we were going to take for the next 4 years. And I'm pretty sure that I took very few of those classes that I first listed. So it's okay if you don't know what you want to do, or if what you choose freshman year is not what you end up, doing in the future. You have lots of time, and just try to, have fun with it. Look for fun classes. There's lots of them, and just see where you go, but try not to stress.
I think that try not to stress piece, we've done a lot of work with our pre-major faculty advisors to help make sure that they have the resources and they have the knowledge to help our incoming students plan out a first semester schedule that feels good, that allows students to explore, but also make sure that they're meeting those initial call requirements. And our pre-major faculty advisors are all doing that because they want to do it. It's not necessarily a requirement of all faculty. And so all students, as they're coming in, you're going to be assigned a major. In the JDP case, in the joint degree program case, you're going to get your major advisor because you had to declare to join the program. For everyone else, you are undeclared until you have enough credits to do so, which is typically sophomore year status timeframe. And during that time frame, you are given a pre-major faculty advisor. You meet with that person during orientation. And then after that meeting, that's when you complete your course registration for the fall semester. And so between the peer advisors during college studies, and between your pre-major advisor meeting, you are never walking this journey alone. And even once you do declare your major, you get a major advisor. And so you're always going to have a faculty resource there to bounce ideas off of, who can give you some guidance as to course load, and also course diversity, in the sense of you don't want to take all writing intensive classes or all lab science classes. You want to make sure that you're sort of mixing things up, because you want to keep yourself fresh in the process, and create a schedule that's too burdensome for any one particular semester. And also, we want to make sure that you don't procrastinate and wait until the last semester to dot all the I's and cross all the T's for your academic major as well. So we really want to make sure that you're working toward the degree instead of sort of jumping into it at the last moment. So there does have to be some planning involved, and college studies will help you in that process. So to wrap up our time together, I want to talk a little bit about this summer. You've given some great advice over and around the topics of how to stay in the moment, how to prepare. But there are two things that we mentioned in the Tribe Guide checklist that I'd like your thoughts around. The first are pre-orientation programs and the student meetups. Now, both programs are optional, and obviously we don't know necessarily what's going to happen with COVID, and so we're waiting on guidance of that. But participating in sort of extra community development options like that, good idea, bad idea, do it when you can. What are your thoughts on engaging with your peers sooner rather than later?
I mean, I think it's a great idea. I'm not sitting here because I think it's a bad idea. I didn't know anybody coming to this school. I think I was one of 2 Idahoans when I joined up. I think I might be the only one now. That she was 2 years older than me, so she's since graduated. And so participating in those things, doing the informal like Facebook group, all those things helped me kind of at least know some names, kind of put a face to campus before I jumped right in during orientation in August. So I would say 110% go for it. I mean, we don't want to stress you out. We don't want to put pressure on you if you have a busy summer. I understand that, but do it where you can. Do it when you can.
Yeah, I would say especially if things are over Zoom, especially for the student meetups, why not hop on a call? I think it's really a good thing to meet new people and just kind of embrace the awkwardness. I think it's really important to remember too that everyone feels the same way as you. Everyone is meeting new people. Everyone doesn't really know anybody. And so it's good to all just get on a call and meet people. I remember my freshman year, people in my hall who had done the pre-orientation programs, and they would see people in the dining hall that like they had just met 2 weeks ago, and now they were really good friends. And I'd be like, oh, I wish I'd done that. So I think that they're all really good programs, and that I would definitely recommend them as well.
Yeah, speaking from experience, I did the Tribe Adventure program, which is like the outdoors thing. I ended up doing the canoeing one, and I had a lot of fun. And I did meet some new students there, and I think it helped me a lot to go on campus and already have a few familiar faces. Like, I didn't necessarily stick close with any of them because, like, you know, that happens. You'll meet people that you say hi to and that you hang out with for a while, and then maybe you don't click, and that's okay. And honestly, the wonderful thing about Women Married is the community is so cool. This community has so many connections. Like, you'll know people who know people like that, you know, like there's always like a third degree of like knowing someone on campus, which I think is wonderful. So the student meetups are a great way to like start putting names to faces. as well. So I mean, there's nothing that I can see wrong with doing them. I think it's good to put yourself out there and do things that you're uncomfortable with every once in a while, because I think the rewards you reap are worth it.
Awesome. That's great. Well, then on those words of wisdom, we are going to thank our incoming, fingers crossed, our incoming students and families for joining us this evening. Want to thank Madeline, Paul, and Cassie for taking time to be with us to share out their experiences and their stories. I think that we learn a lot about the new student experience upon reflection. And it's really great to have students involved in the transition process. So between student leaders who help us do our community initiatives to the orientation staff who arrive early to make sure that there's a warm and welcoming environment waiting for our new students and families, we're just so excited to be able to welcome the class of 2025, fingers crossed, in person for the fall semester, and look forward to getting to know each and every one of you in preparation for what is to come on your William & Mary journey. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at step@wm.edu. But other than that, have a great evening and go Tribe.
Congratulations. Good night.